What's up, everybody? This is Evan Q. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Octopus time-lapse tutorial. Now, I got a couple requests about what my painting process is and how I go about doing them, so I figured I'd narrate over this little painting video. First, I start with the Arches cold pressed watercolor paper. It's 140 pound, and I lightly trace whatever design or drawing you're going to do as a painting. After that, I tape down the edges of the paper and make a nice border. That way, after you peel this up, it's going to be clean, nice, not painted, and it looks really cool when you're done. So first off, I start with what you're seeing right now. I start with the shading, start with the gray tones, and I start off light. Remember, with watercolor, you can always start off light and gradually make it darker. You can't make it darker and go lighter, or at least I haven't figured out how to do that. So like you're seeing, I'm just pretty much going about the painting where I know darker shades are going to be and lightly putting them in, because I'm going to be doing color over them later. So like I said, I don't want to do them too dark to where the color is not going to show. So you pretty much do your shading wherever you see fit. You do it on the shadows in the background. I normally work backwards to front, thanks to Bob Ross. That's the first person I saw work like that. So what you're seeing now is I'm moving on to the blue. The blue is something I'm going to use for the background. Obviously, the octopus is in water. So I'm using a blue that I thought was really cool, and I've already shaded the background, so I can just apply the blue freely. I don't have to worry about fading it. Now, what you're seeing there is in some of those lighter areas, you will need to fade that blue into the lighter tones. I'm specifically leaving those waves for last and working my way forward. That way, if I can go really light in those waves, I'm able to do so without doing them first and making them way too dark. So right now I'm taking care of those waves. Really, there are right ways to shade something, but art has no rules. So fill in your painting however you see fit. It's all about however you want to be creative. Really, this is what I tackled the first day. I tackled the shading and tackled the water, did all the blue, did the bubbles, and called it a day. This took me about 3 hours or so to do all that work. Shading, and you get the picture. Working on that till you're pretty much burnt out for the day, or you want to keep going. Whatever, more power to you. So the next day I started out with the octopus. I picked orange because one, orange is a complement to blue, and two, I tried to pick a color light enough that wasn't going to be equally as dark as the blue and would read more in the foreground and push the water backward. So a little bit of contrast there. You want the image to be able to read well, especially if it were in black and gray. So right now I'm working on painting the tentacles and just taking my time. Right there where you saw me take the painting, I'm actually using a hair dryer to quicken the process, to speed it up and dry everything, because watercolor kind of takes its time. It's not as slow as oil though. So right here I'm just painting the tentacle, taking my time. I made this one pretty intricate with a bunch of waves around it, so it was kind of a slower process. But as I continue, I just pay attention to what my light source is and where the light's hitting the top of the tentacle, and making sure to keep that consistent throughout the entire painting. I normally try to do the harder areas first when I have the most energy to paint. That's why I left that forehead last. That part was super easy and took basically no time. So after that, I came back and worked on the suction cups. Now with the suction cups, I wanted to make this very clear. You want to pick a color that's kind of in between your octopus and the watercolor, because if you pick a color that's too dark, it's not going to be able to read well against the water. If you pick a color too light, it's just going to blend in with your octopus and you're not really going to be able to see them. So I picked red. You know, it's a little bit darker than orange, and it also works kind of well with blue. It's not too dark. It's darker than the orange, but it's lighter than the blue. So I felt like it could read really well. Feel free to pick whatever colors you want. Remember, art has no rules, so be as creative as you want. Use what colors you have the most fun with. So right there you saw me kind of drying it up, using the hair dryer to quicken the process. You're going to see that throughout this next phase. As I move into the eye, I picked green because out of green, that would be the color that pops the most, in my opinion, and looks good with the red. So after that, I'm just filling in whatever texture is necessary. I really like dot textures and whatnot, making it look like it has bumps. Do whatever you feel is necessary. Really, the whole art is subjective and up to you on what you want to do. So go all out if you want to. When you're ready, you want to peel off that tape and it leaves that nice border like you saw. After which point, you can feel free totally to jump into your markers. I normally use Sharpies or Micron pens. To all you watercolor warriors out there that use ink brushes to line your paintings, y'all are badass and that's awesome. I personally don't do that. I use Sharpies just as a personal preference. So right now what you're seeing is I'm just lining the entire painting where I see fit and what needs to be lined. As we progress through this process, you're gonna see me take different color Sharpies. Like right there, I took a green, I'm gonna take an orange, I'm gonna take a darker red. Really, not everything needs a black outline. And sometimes when you're using an orange, hey, it's near or it's closest to the orange that I used paint-wise, maybe I can get away with that. Or I have a pink that's next to this red I used, I can get away with that. You know, so carry on with that idea that you don't have to use everything that's black. You can use different color Sharpies if it's similar to the color you painted with. If it's not, I may or may not suggest using that, but hey, like I said, art has no rules. It's all subjective. And that's it. That's the painting. I hope y'all enjoyed watching this. I hope it was informative. And if there's any questions, please let me know. If you want more videos like this, leave it in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching, everybody.